Trying to get into the audiophile scene is difficult in more ways than one. The barrier to entry is definitely a big problem, especially if you're looking to get gear like speakers or full-size headphones. Beyerdynamic though has launched their new T1 and T5 3rd gen headphones that I think are a great option for people looking to start their audiophile journey. Anyway, a bit of backstory. When I was younger, I actually considered getting a pair of headphones for use at home. But the thing is, after looking at a lot of information, I realized that if I were to get high-end headphones with a high impedance, I would require an amplifier to get the best out of them. That's additional cost that has to be factored in. And when you're paying $1,000, $2,000 for a pair of headphones, the last thing you want is to actually pay half or even just as much for an amplifier if your headphones have a high impedance. The previous T1 2nd gen came with a 600 ohm Tesla driver, and that definitely needed an amp to drive. The new T1 and T5 3rd gen, however, is just 32 ohms, so it can be driven really easily with just a mobile phone if that's what you want. This move has actually drawn a lot of flack from audiophiles online, but personally, I think it's a great move. This makes high-end gear a bit more accessible to beginners and people looking to get their first set of flagship cans. It's not to say that because of the 32 ohms impedance, these don't benefit from amplification. They scale really well, and I've seen people commenting that the T1 sounds great when paired with amps like the Quad Hugo 2, with the soundstage opening up. But anyway, enough about that. I just wanted to say, don't write off these headphones if you're more used to headphones with a high impedance. Because regardless of whether you're using these with a digital audio player or your mobile phone, they're really easy to drive. So give them a try. Moving on, let's talk about the design. The main difference between the T1 and T5 is that one is an open back headphone while the other is closed back. It's easily seen from the ear cups. The T1 has open grills while the T5's grills are filled in. For the uninitiated, open back headphones allow air to pass through the ear cups, essentially trading off sound isolation for an airier, clearer sound and better soundstage. The downside is that people around you will be able to hear what you're listening to, since there's sound leakage. You'll also be able to hear the world around you, so these are best suited for home listening instead of bringing them on public transport. The T5 are closed back headphones, which means you'll be able to block out some external noise and people around you won't be able to hear your music, unless you're blasting it at a loud volume, of course. It does come with the trade-off of having a smaller soundstage though, so that's something to take note of when considering which one is right for you. The headphones definitely feel luxurious. The T1 comes with velour ear pads and the T5 use leatherette. The leather ear pads definitely get a bit warm, especially if you're in a climate like Singapore's, but it's nothing too bad. The clamping force for the T1 though is definitely stronger than the T5, and I had to wear them for a few hours before getting comfortable. The T5 was super comfy off the bat. You get a strip of Alcantara fabric at the top, which definitely breaks up the monotony of the headband and adds a nice textural contrast. You also get a velvet-covered hard case which offers pretty good protection for the headphones. Do take note that the ear cups don't swivel or fold in, so the case is pretty big. You also get a 1.4 meter cable with the T5, further solidifying the idea that it's the more portable of the two, and the T1 gets a 4 meter cable. It's definitely a bit overkill, but I found it to be pretty useful when I'm plugged into my computer and I want to get up to close my room door or get something from my bedside table. If you have a big room though, then maybe it won't be long enough, but otherwise there's plenty of slack for you to move around with these headphones on. The cables are also fabric covered and there's next to no microphonics or kinking with them. Let me just stop here and talk about price for a moment, because these both come in at $999 and for the most part, I think that it's pretty worth the money. What I would have liked to see here though is the addition of a balance cable. There is, however, a 3.5mm to 6.3mm adapter in the box, so if you're looking to plug these into an amp, you have the option to. But let's get to the sound. As always, everybody's ears and preferences are different, so I always recommend demoing the headphones or audio products before you make the purchase. These might sound great to me, but terrible to you. Do take note that the folks at Beyer actually burned the headphones in prior to passing them to me, so I can't speak as to how they sound right out of the box. Starting with the T1, these are a pair of dark headphones, like really dark. If you're used to bright headphones or are looking for reference headphones, you most likely won't like these all that much. It's not to say that these are bad headphones, far from it. It's just that Beyer has taken an interesting approach to the tuning for these headphones, and it's definitely not for everyone. The bass is tight, punchy, and definitely impactful. There's a bit of a dip in the mids and upper treble, but the overall sound is meaty and resolves details pretty well. It takes time to get used to a new sound, so my advice again is to give them a try and give yourself time to get used to their tuning. As for the T5, there's also the same emphasis on bass here, but you get a bit more body because it's a closed back headphone. The mids are a bit clearer and more even here compared to the T1, which had a warmer touch to them. The treble is where it starts to differ a bit more from the T1 in my opinion. I found the T5 to have a bit more sparkle and energy in the highs as compared to the T1. Imaging and layering is pretty good, but the soundstage is definitely a bit narrower. Again, these aren't bright headphones, so if you're comparing the T5 to other headphones, you'll definitely notice the reduced treble and boosted bass. Overall, I would say there are major differences between the T1 and T5 3rd gen when compared to their predecessors, and while these are excellent headphones, they only really shine if your preferences match their tuning. But I will say this, I have to give Beyerdynamic a lot of credit for taking the leap and making these both 32 ohms, at the risk of alienating the existing audiophile customer base, and actually just opening up the scene to more people and making this hobby that much easier to get a foot into. Anyway, those are my thoughts on these headphones. If you guys have any comments or questions, leave them down below. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to us if you haven't. Follow us on Facebook and on Instagram for more content. If you'd like to support the channel, there'll be an affiliate link down in the description where you can purchase these headphones. Until the next one, see you guys!